All right, friends, welcome back. I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video, and this is what we call the Art Professors Podcast. Thanks for joining. And this is actually a bonus episode. We'll call it 4.5 since, just to maintain the chronological order of everything. But it's really just a bonus episode because tomorrow, Monday, what's the date? August 21st is the first day of classes. So I'm teaching an art professor at Missouri State University. I am teaching graphic design courses, a photo. So the four courses, so the 5, 6, these are the responsibilities that I have. I've kind of 4 studio classes, which is in the order that I'm teaching them. I think is the first one's digital photography is my first class that I have on Monday. After that will be 2D design. After that on Tuesday will be typography, and after that will be brand identity. And then on Thursday I have a 1-hour class or 50-minute class, a 1-credit class they call it senior capstone. I know it as kind of like professional practices. So it's basically the class that you prepare, talk about life after school, and we'll figure that out as we go. And then I have one person that's doing an independent study with me, sort of. They have a class they call Senior Studio, which is students can sign up for and just work on their projects. So I'm not sure really what that entails, but I'm gonna hopefully meet with a student soon, early next week. And then I also have kind of a responsibility to watch over one student who's doing an intern, and from everything I've gathered about that class, it's just they just need a faculty member to kind of sign off for them, but we don't actually do anything really. Maybe just talk to them, check in with them, but we don't do anything. It's really the intern itself that they have to be responsible for and do all that. So but it'll just be another opportunity for me to get to know another one of the students, and so that'll be fun. So the main reason I wanted to record this was just to kind of document, it's 10 a.m. right now. My first class tomorrow starts at 12, I think. I put it all in my Google Calendar yesterday, so all my classes are on my Google Calendar. So digital photography starts at 1 p.m. 2D design starts at 3 p.m. The classes are an hour, 15 minutes apiece. The typography starts at 11 a.m. The brand identity starts at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. And then on Thursdays is that extra class that starts at 4 p.m. Thursdays is going to be my long day. I'm going to be in my office starting at 9 a.m. and running pretty much. I'm going to be there till 11 p.m. because I'm planning to extend, time on campus so that I'm more accessible to my students even beyond my office hours. At this particular college, they require office hours, 7 hours a week of office hours, which from what I'm gathering is a lot for a university, but I'm okay with it because I was going to be on campus a lot anyway. And really my office hours are anytime any student needs me is really when my office hours are. I'm not as precious about being distant, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it. I'm not about trying to not be available to my students. So I'll be as available as they need to be. Sans Sundays pretty much, because Sundays is football day and that'll be my rest day. I'll reply to emails and stuff, but I won't be meeting with anybody on Sundays. I'll just be watching football and doing that. So Thursdays will be my be on campus all day, prepare for the next week, kind of, so possibly don't have to think about it for the next week, next over the weekend and stuff. I'll basically be done everything I need to do Monday through Thursday, and then the weekends I'll have to work in this studio, in this space, do other things, live streams and whatnot. And then Monday through Thursday will be dedicated mostly to being on campus. I'll do things in the evenings here for live streams. Probably my Top War live stream and my Splatoon live streams will happen midweek, but then my art live streams will happen on the weekend, and I'll focus on making art. Basically, my focus for making will be Thursday through Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be my focus for making. because I want to make on campus, and I'll be making on campus in between things because I'll have a spot on campus. So there'll be lots of making. The goal is to make lots, and I'm excited about the prospect of setting up the space on campus that I can just kind of like go and stare at a piece. Like, let's say I was working on this Billie Eilish triptych, and I could just stare at it and fiddle with it and do other things as I feel like it, versus it being locked into like during a live stream. So we'll see what kind of work I can make. I'm envisioning similar work that I've made before, but I'm also envisioning more color. Actually, I'm envisioning adding like one color, kind of like what I did with my propaganda posters that you might have seen. So check out my accounts, my Instagram and TikTok, and scroll back, and even here on the YouTube, you can find the live stream of my propaganda posters, how I added just a touch of color. So that's kind of how I'm visualizing what I might be doing, still working on paper and those kind of things. This is actually, I'm talking about stuff that I wasn't really planning on talking about. My plan was just to talk about how I'm feeling about being the first day of school, just as like a documentation of this moment. And I feel okay. I mean, basically right now, the way that I'm functioning, getting ready for classes is, I got my syllabus written. I got my rough, outline of what the plan is for the most part, but I don't have really fine, minute details of everything, and those details will be addressed as I need to throughout the semester, just because it's like trying to teach basically 5 classes and plus extra is a lot to try to like organize in less than a month. So yeah. So I'm just allowing myself a little bit of space. It does present a degree of anxiety for me, because I would prefer to just, in some ways, to just know exactly how everything's going to work in a way, have taught these classes before, or those kind of ideas, or have some degree of previous kind of experience with this particular situation, but that's not the case. Everything is brand new. So really what it boils down to for me is reminding myself that it will all work out. I mean, maybe some of you have seen my video I made a few years ago, like during the pandemic, and it's like, it'll all work out. And it will, and it has been. And so I'm going to rest in the faith that everything that's meant to be will be, and it'll be positive, and it'll be good, because it has been. And I can rest. Luckily, this artist journey that I've been on since I started graduate school, it's been providing. The universe has been providing the answers, the support, the relief, the breaks. It's been providing a lot for me, and I'm having faith that it will continue to provide for me. So I'm doing my best to allow myself to let go of any possible anxiety about feeling insecure about whatever might be coming up, and the unknown. I'm letting the unknown be filled with positivity, and just go, it's going to be great. My first class is 11 students, I think. My second class is 27 students. My third class is 5 students, and my fourth class, I can't remember. I want to say like 16, maybe somewhere around there. And then the last one, that one credit class, is 18 students. So it's kind of a variety, and we'll see how my first day, this is what I do on my first week. This is what I've learned works well for me for my first week of teaching. First day is all about nothing topic specific for the class. It's all talking about and with each other, getting to know each other, building community, finding ways. Like the thing that I do is, it's worked well with larger classes. I've only had like 20 plus student classes that I've taught. So this works well with that size class. So I'm curious to see how it'll play with the 11 person class. It might feel a little different, but what I do is have them break into 2 groups essentially, and then get into 2 lines. In one line, they have 3 minutes to get to know the person standing across from them and ask them questions, write down notes. And then they just, after every 3 minutes or so, we switch, and the one line moves around, and the person at the end goes to the front of the line. And then we do that until we've completed that line. And then we break those two lines into two separate lines and repeat that process, because the lines that are the two lines haven't talked to each other yet. Like, they've only talked across to each other. They haven't talked to their group yet. So then we break that down, and we try to just break it down as far as we can. Usually by the end, there's a few students that haven't talked to each other, but that usually gets filled in. But enough has happened that there's enough students that have talked to each other that they can start to get to know each other. And then I have them all sit in a giant circle. And then when in that circle, we start at somewhere in the circle, the person directly across from that other person introduces the other person because of what they learned about them from this initial part. So, and the way I usually do it is have like 3 or 4 people introduce that person across from them. So, and it spins like a clock in a way, and this group of 4 rotates. And what I have them do as well is they say, so the person across from them, like if I'm across from Mike, I say, my name is Zim, and I'm introducing Mike. And then I go, what I learned about Mike is he likes to go ride bikes. I don't know, whatever it might be. And each person does that. And then the next person goes, my name is Susan, and I'm introducing Mike. And Mike likes to draw with pencil. And then the next person goes, my name is Frank, and I'm introducing Mike. So everybody says their name and the person across from them multiple times, so we're getting really to know each other's names, hopefully. And then it shifts, so it goes one person over. Let's say the next person over is Sally from Mike, but then the 4 across shift 1, so that the second person that went the first time starts this group. I'll probably shift it a little bit. I might only do 2 because the time of these classes are a lot short. For my big class, my 27 person class, I might just do 2 across and try to do that, because we'll spend like the first hour just talking to each other and whatever we get to on that part, and then the second 50 minutes doing this process. But with the 11 person class and those other classes, we might not use the whole time. So that's the first day. That's what I do on the first day. It's worked out pretty well so far. I've enjoyed it. Everybody seems to enjoy it. It gets energy going in the room. People break down their shyness in a lot of ways, because it's like it gets loud. It gets like people are talking. I mean, it's just kind of like this loose kind of environment, which hopefully is people seem like, that's the goal anyway. And it just kind of creates this energy in the classroom, and we're getting to know each other and being goofy and all that stuff. And then, so that's the first day. And then the second day I prepare them. I say, this is the only class, this is the syllabus day, the second day of class, because it's super important for me to set up. It's not the syllabus so much that's important to me. It's this is how I am. This gives me the opportunity to set my intention as a professor and how I am, and really let them know this is how I am. We go over the syllabus, but I talk about a lot of stuff. I talk about mindset stuff. I talk about registering to vote. I talk about, just like tons of things, like support that's available to the students on campus. So that gets them to know that my philosophy of teaching is not just singular, what's the topic of the class, and that's all we're going to talk about. My philosophy of teaching is, how do we make this a holistic environment that, they know I'm here to support them whatever they need. If they need to know more about the topic of the class, great. If they need to know who to talk to about Title IX stuff, which is the sexual abuse and discrimination stuff, they know how I can be a conduit for them to find that information. Of course, always promoting and encouraging my students to be active in our political system and registering to vote, and just a lot of different things. So, and then just talking about my life and sharing a little bit of my work, and just kind of trying to let the students know who I am as a person as much as I can right out the gate, so that on the next week we start the actual classwork, and then we're ready to go. And hopefully we've kind of created a foundation of culture for my classes. And so what that also allows me to do as well is just gives me just a little bit of extra breathing room to roll into the semester. Like, I mean, I've already been advised by, the administration, other people at school, to go slow, you don't need to rush into anything, go slow. And so I'm like, I already kind of work that way, but I'm also taking it to heart to go slow and just get to know the students, and, not rush into just bookwork right away. Like I'm never been the type, and don't want to be the type to say like first day of class, open your book to page 65 and start reading. Like I'm not that type of professor. I don't want to be that type of professor, and I want to be a different. I want to approach education in a fun and fresh and holistic way. So yeah, so basically, I'm sure I'll be nervous tomorrow morning. There'll be butterflies and stuff, but once I'm in the classroom, it also allows me to work through those butterflies, like not feeling like I have to teach the classwork. And then it's also like it helps unlock my ability to know exactly what it is. So like I'll have met the students. It'll be we'll be in the flow of the semester, and so it'll allow me to like actually think a little bit more about, okay, this class we're doing this, next class we're doing this, next class, like I'll be able to really specifically look at each class a little bit easier, because right now it's like all I see is all of it, and it's like hard for me to focus in on, well, what am I gonna do on the third Monday or whatever, the third class period, because that's when we're gonna start I just can't, my brain cannot think of it, because I'm also thinking about that initial meeting them stuff. It's like I'm just like, so as things get taken out, I was like, okay, this little piece is done now, syllabus part is done now I can go like, let me focus on what's required for Monday, and then go like, okay, I'll work on that, flesh it out, add to my syllabus or add to my lesson plans, add to the grading structure, really be able to like look and just go and isolate that idea versus seeing kind of all of it. And, we'll work on it as we go. So that's just kind of how I've been feeling. So, and then I also know I'm the type, from my performance background, my, being a musician and what I've learned through that and being on stage and just, my years of life that I've had and experience, the patterns that I'm like, okay, this is my pattern. My pattern is I'm way more anxious usually a week before something than I am the day, like the hours before it. By the time I get to it, and then once I get in it, like my anxiety drops tremendously. I mean, there's always, depending on scenarios and different things, but basically the way it works is once I know about the moment I know about an idea, I'm most anxious like within like the first, like if whatever timeline that could be a month away, or that could be 10 minutes away. But if you look at that span of time as a spectrum, as like, okay, from knowledge to when you're going to perform, essentially, the first I'd say 75% is like kind of the most anxious in a lot of ways. And then usually there's like a lull, and then around the 50% mark, I get a little anxious again. But then once we get to the 10% mark, close to the actual initiation of the idea, and then once we're in the idea, the anxiety goes way down, because I've learned enough to go like, well, if I'm not prepared now, I'll never be prepared, and let's just be me and just do the best I can. And luckily, I definitely try to put myself in situations that I have knowledge about whatever it is that I need to do. So even if I'm not fully prepared, I can pull from my knowledge and I can pull from my own existence. This happened, the reason what I'm thinking about specifically in a way is last Friday, we had our meeting with all the incoming freshmen, and we're all going to introduce ourselves, but we didn't know at what point we were going to introduce ourselves until the moment we knew it. And the moment we knew it, I was at the tail end of the introductions. So it's like they started on the other side of the room, and it's just like the anxiety just builds, and then starts to fade the closer it gets to me. And then once it gets to me, I didn't quite say what I meant to say in the way that I meant to say it, but I said what I wanted to say, and I've already got compliments in a way from other faculty. One of the other faculty mentioned, somebody told him, is like, I really liked what Zim had to say. That was really, really cool. Where I don't know, all I remember is them saying, I really liked what Zim had to say. And then the other faculty says, yeah, that's him. That's not a front. That's not that's not he's not making it up. That's just the way he is. Because I talked about, community building and the fact that all these students, you don't know who's going to influence your life in a positive way right now necessarily until like maybe farther down the line, who one of us faculty that'll write a letter of recommendation, or the person you're sitting next to will become your best friend and get you through a hard moment in your life or whatever it might be. So that's, I kind of emphasize, showing up, and you can't build community if you don't show up. So it ties directly into attendance. And then I mentioned as well, like I had a third thing I wanted to say, but I also said, like, I'm like you, it's like if you're feeling nervous or anxious, I have this kind of saying of getting small, and that means just focusing on the moment and just taking a deep breath and putting one foot in front of the other, and just, and that kind of concept is like get small is what I like to say. The third thing I wanted to say was this deploy grace in the face of adversity, which I've talked to you all about before, but I'll save that for when I'm in my classroom. But because it just felt, I was feeling the vibe, and I was kind of, my flow was not quite there, because I definitely am more anxious in front of the other faculty than I am in front of the students. In front of the students, I'm like, let's go, because I honestly feel like I relate better with the students than I relate with people that are closer to my age. It's been that way for a while, so that's that. So anyways, we'll keep this one kind of short. We'll be about 20 minutes long, but I just wanted to give a little bonus episode. I thought this would be like 10 minutes. I didn't know how I was going to be rolling with it, but I just wanted to document how I'm feeling, and just kind of talk through, and you all are my support network, whether you know it or not. Making these podcasts and talking through what I'm going through is very helpful to me. It's good for me to just get it out and talk through it and document it and think about it, and maybe we'll revisit some of these podcasts in a year and 3 years and 10 years and feel like, how did it feel when my first ever full-time position, and then in 10 years from now, wherever I'm doing in my life, I'll be like, oh, that was an interesting time. Now I'm here doing this, whatever it might be. So thank you all for the support, for listening. If you have any thoughts or comments for me, please feel free to jump into the comments on the YouTube channel or anywhere you can reach me. The direct messages through TikTok or Instagram work great. My email is available as well. It's everywhere. So on my YouTube, so you can find me, you can get a hold of me. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something, but I'll listen back to this and I'll add whatever I missed to next Friday's. Probably every Friday we're trying to drop a podcast. So come back to the channel every Friday and look out for the podcast. All right. As always, my friends, be loving, kind, and patient. Peace.